And at 10, Phantom Freddy. The Phantom animatronics are hallucinational variants of the original animatronics who haunt Fazbear's fright throughout the nights in FNAF 3. The Freddy Files book also seems to point out that these hallucinations appear burnt, suggesting that they're trying to warn you of what's to come. The Phantom animatronics first appeared in FNAF 3 as side antagonists. Some of them returned in Ultimate Custom Night, but they all came back in Help Wanted. However, I know what you're thinking. Connor, isn't Phantom Freddy a version of normal Freddy, not Golden Freddy? And while at surface level you could be correct, there's actually proof against this. Phantom Freddy's model resembles Golden Freddy's appearance in the second game, due to the missing ear and the wires coming from the eyes, and even the way his hat is slightly tilted to the left. This has led many people to believe that the Phantom represents Golden Freddy instead, and after brightening his jump scare you can see that Phantom Freddy is actually Golden Freddy. This also is further shown in the code, as his events are listed under Golden Freddy. And at 9, Withered Golden Freddy. Withered Golden Freddy is an antagonist in FNAF 2. Golden Freddy is an animatronic bear and children's entertainer host housed at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, along with the original versions of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy before they get scrapped in favor of the toy animatronics. Withered Golden Freddy's appearance has not really changed much, but he does look more damaged than he did in the first game, because you know, he's missing one ear and it has a few wires coming out of his eye socket. His head also appears to be tilting to the left instead of to the right like it did in FNAF 1, but I mean, that's inconsequential. And in Ultimate Custom Night, after he appears when lowering your tablet, you gotta put it back up quickly to get rid of him, because staring at him for too long will end your run with an unpleasant surprise. That unpleasant surprise being death. And at 8, Psychic Friend Fredbear. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Who you gonna call? Psychic Friend Fredbear. Fredbear plush is a plush of the Fredbear animatronic, owned by the Bite victim aka Crying Child. He first appeared in FNAF 4 and he doesn't really do anything, but he will stay on your desk and switch the currently viewed camera every few seconds, seemingly in sister location using his remote. Clicking his nose enough will prevent him from switching the camera though, meaning that you gotta love him. However, the real issue that makes him scary is his jump scare. Despite him being labeled as harmless, mess with his bigger version and he is far from it. In Ultimate Custom Night, you are able to get an item called the Death Coin that allows you to eliminate any animatronic from the game. This works with most animatronics. It removes them from play and you won't have to deal with them for the rest of the playthrough, or I guess technically life. But there is at least, to my knowledge, one animatronic this coin does not work on: Golden Freddy. If used on Golden Freddy, the Golden Fredbear plush, also known as Psychic Friend Fredbear, will jump scare you immediately, which is incredibly rude. And at 7, Glitch Trap. Glitch Trap is the sentient code version of Bonnie from the VR game FNAF Help Wanted, where he serves as the main antagonist of the game and the reincarnation of William Afton after his soul latched onto a circuit board or hard drive containing usable code. He manifests in game and is somehow able to control certain aspects. He is somehow able to interact with the endings of the game, being the one to stuff us into the Freddy suit. It's weird, he wasn't supposed to be in the game, so why does he have such an important role in the end of the game? Maybe he just made a different version of Glitch Trap. Like, the suit is just, like, it was a character in the game, but he made a separate version, so he kind of like copied and pasted it and then possessed that one, maybe. When he starts dancing after he kills us and stuffs us in the suit again, that is cringe. That's worse than my dancing, and that's saying a lot. Glitch Trap is also supposed to be reminiscent of the first suit that William Afton used to kill. The stitch marks on the suit, like on the joints, indicate that. And he's really off-putting, okay? Knowing that this is the first instance that William kills someone just really sets me on edge. It's scary in another kind of way, the kind of way that sticks with you long after you've closed the game. Especially when we just saw him lure us into a dark room behind a curtain. Yeah. And you know what, for all the, if you want to complain, screw you, it's still a version of Bonnie. And at 6, Golden Glamrock Freddy. Golden Glamrock Freddy is not a real character, but despite this, there are plenty of fan-made versions of Golden Glamrock Freddy, especially given his absence in this game along with the various golden references like the golden statue, the golden plushie, etc. Whether they just be coloring him in, changing the palette, or making him pure metal, Golden Glamrocks are all over the place on Google and other sites like DeviantArt, but don't go too deep otherwise you'll end up like me, constantly having nightmares of animatronics doing unsightly things. But at least it's a nightmare. But given the theory in Doctor Strange, if I'm having nightmares of being forced to watch animatronic coitus parties, a version of me technically actually has to suffer through that, which is a horrifying thought. I wonder if anyone ever dreams through my eyes, like any other version of me dreams through my eyes and then wakes up thinking that it was a nightmare. Halfway through, and at number 5, Scrap Toy Chica. As a proud member of the Toy Chica Bucket Club, seeing my girl scrapped really breaks my heart. The various versions of Scrap Toy Chica always put me on edge, just because of the amount of exposed endoskeleton. These are damn creepy. No matter what, whether it be slightly destroyed, very destroyed, or hell, even the withered scrap Chica, it doesn't make me happy to look at it. I mean, this video was already going to make my history questionable to say the least, but this just makes me sad. There isn't really much else to say. It's scrap toy Chica, it's what you'd expect. Picture the glam rock Chica teaser image with her destroyed, but it's toy Chica, and then boom, you got scrap toy Chica. And at 4, Sinister Golden Freddy. Sinister Golden Freddy was originally intended on releasing with the cancelled Sinister Turmoil fan game. Instead of the full game, however, we ended up getting Sinister Turmoil Sewers, which is a small section of what would have been the full game. Sinister Golden Freddy is a golden animatronic bear with a lighter shade of gold on his stomach, snout, and inside his ears. Small but very sharp teeth and no eyes. His whole suit appears to be severely withered, having large rips and tears all over the place. Just Christ, he really needs to go to a tailor and get those fixed up. But Sinister Golden Freddy sports large needle-like weapons on his wrist as well, much like normal Sinister Freddy, and also appears to have small geometrically shaped claws and nails. Sinister Golden Freddy also has a mouth with sharp but small teeth. That's the reason he's terrifying, okay? I don't like it. It's absolutely terrifying and deserves to be number 1, even over Dormitibus animatronics, but those are just an easy number 1 and I'm not trying to torture myself anymore. And at 3, Havoc Freddy. Havoc Freddy, much like the Havoc puppet, is from the Dormitibus universe as well. Havoc Freddy is a distorted manifestation accident born from the Havoc puppet, who attempted to make a physical body for the spirits in purgatory from plasma. When alive, the spirit's name was Ted. He has a giant hole in the right side of his mask, revealing a large portion of his endoskeleton. His right eye hangs out the hole by a few wires, consisting mainly of a black color with a red pupil. His left eye has a blue color on it, like his real counterpart. His eyebrows look rather large, with his right one missing a small amount of itself. His top hat appears to be fine though. A long arm is connected to the left side of his head, with it wearing no suit on it, and the hand from the arm appears to be missing a finger segment, and is holding a microphone. Had to work it in. Havoc Freddy doesn't have a suit for his lower jaw, and his entire jaw is hanging rather low by a few wires, so yeah, that's a thing. Penultimately, in at number 2, Great Escape Golden Freddy. Golden Freddy returns as an enemy in FNAF AR Special Delivery and as a playable character in Freddy in Space 2. But Great Escape Golden Freddy, or for short simply Great Escape Freddy, is the first skin Golden Freddy has gotten in FNAF AR. He received this skin as a part of the special mixed reality DLC game mode Dark Circus Encore that released in December 13th, 2021. He's available exclusively through purchasing and beating the DLC content. Great Escape Golden Freddy is identical to Golden Freddy in coloration, still being yellow, but is now a much duller shade, with black and green splotches on his head, legs, and feet. His head is severely withered in multiple areas, with most of it deteriorated or missing, including half of his top hat. His eye sockets are also completely empty, the holes going through the endoskeleton head, and a chain is running through his mouth. He wears a brown straitjacket and multiple golden chains running around it, like a G. With many locks, boxes, and giant metallic collars around his neck, these chains also run down his upper legs, and he looks like he's dangling from them. It's genuinely one of, if not the scariest skin in FNAF AR, and it's a mobile game, so it takes a lot of time to actually make it scary, but this does it. Good job. And finally, in at number 1, Am I Real? Am I Real has 2 different forms. His first form is Cake Bear. Cake Bear's design originated from the Save Him minigame, where Freddy delivers cake to children. However, Am I Real's second form, Am I Real, is a form that much resembles Springtrap, and it also appears to be some form of Golden Freddy animatronic. This form is mostly comprised of a drab green like Springtrap, and similarly has exposed human remains inside. His right eye socket has gotten larger on the side of his head, and there's a big hole that can be seen on the right side of his head because of course there is. If you want to make an animatronic scary, you just take bits away. His top hat has received some withering on it as well. His lower jaw is slanted and worn down, no longer circular like Cake Bear's, and he has a sizable hole in the right side of his torso too, revealing his organs. Rips and tears cover his arms, revealing even more human remains, and he's just disgusting. He's meant to be a Springlock suit, but at the time that this game was released, we didn't have Fredbear as a character, meaning that this is definitely intended to be a Golden Freddy. And at 10, RWQFSFASXC. Shadow Bonnie makes an appearance in FNAF 2, but is more so a main character in FNAF 3, where the character makes an ultimate appearance as a glitched out minigame character, and a statue that you need to click on to enable the glitched minigame. It's weird. Shadow Bonnie has also made an appearance in the FNAF AR game. This character has been all over, and WRQFSFASXC is just a pitch black version of Bonnie with glowing eyes and teeth. That's pretty much it, and it's pretty weird when you think about it. And maybe this is like the concept behind the red jump scare in FNAF VR. That could just be Shadow Bonnie, although I can't be quite sure. No matter, being just a void of pitch black energy can make any animatronic scary, and honestly we don't know how Shadow RWQFF whatever it is came into being. There are some theories about it, that it was someone who got spring locked in the suit before Afton, or that someone else got killed, but we don't know for sure, and that's what makes it even scarier. In at 9, Withered Bonnie. The original Withered animatronic. Withered Bonnie also hails from FNAF 2, where the original 5 were broken and dismantled. Withered Bonnie is the original nightmare animatronic, missing a face and only having 2 red dots for eyes. This would give any of us nightmares when we first saw it enter our office. Withered Bonnie has multiple rows of teeth, which is confusing to me, because why would an animatronic that's meant to be an entertainer in a children's pizzeria need more than 1 row of teeth? But I mean, after the FNAF 4 bite, I think we all know that Afton just built these to kill. Withered Bonnie is pretty spooky, but considering how it's like the second one on this list, things only get worse from here. Okay, I can't really put it anywhere like higher or I guess lower on the list depending on how you think about it, but like especially when there's even scarier ones, and one of those is from FNAF World. In at 8, White Rabbit. The White Rabbit is a version of Bonnie first appearing in FNAF World, and I think that's enough, okay? The fact that it was in FNAF World makes it scary. And while this game is probably the least respected and most hated in the series, my god is this White Rabbit thing terrifying. This is like a miniature version of Bonnie. That's not that bad, right? Well, this thing is completely white and has sunken black eyes with no pupils. Yeah, that makes this thing look freaking terrifying. I don't care that you're going to go to the comments and complain that this character is on here, okay? You know, it happens every time. There's always at least one person, probably around 5, who say like, oh, this blank isn't scary, why are they on this list? Okay, scary is subjective, so shove it, okay? And I'll tell you where you can shove it. Because it's my list. Okay, you can't change the list after it's been posted, so deal with it. This little white rabbit is one of the scariest Bonnie versions in the series, and it's only higher on the list because it was in FNAF World. Like, if it was something like in FNAF 4, or like a main title in the series, it would have been scarier, especially putting it in a situation like maybe Withered Bonnie, but nevertheless, it still deserves the spotlight, because if it was in an actual game, holy crap. And at 7, Yendo. Yendo might initially appear to just be an endoskeleton of Funtime Freddy, but it's entirely possible and more likely that he is an endoskeleton of another version of Freddy that is not yet suited, as Yendo has a right hand where Funtime Freddy would instead typically have Bon Bon attached. Many believe that the name Yendo, which seems to be a combination of endo and yellow, alludes to him being the endoskeleton of a golden variation of Funtime Freddy, or just the original Golden Freddy endoskeleton that was removed prior to the first and second game, which doesn't really make sense timeline wise, because why would they remove Golden Freddy's endo after the whole Circus Baby debacle, and then why would his endo be in the style of the Funtimes? So my best guess is that Yendo is intended to be a Golden Freddy version of Funtime Freddy, which lets him fit in perfectly on this list. His eyes are even yellow, so I think that this is pretty solid. And at 6, Easter Bonnie. Easter Bonnie, aside from being the best pun the series has ever released, is probably the kind of bunny your parents would make you sit with at the mall, but you'd be crying the whole time. Oh. Like Matt from In the Flesh, one of the other Fazbear Frights novels, okay, in Bunny Call. Yeah, which is totally meant to be a fanfic about MatPat. Like, was this his way of asking MatPat if he wanted to work on the next game? Like, are these Scott's deepest fantasies? It doesn't matter, okay? But this bunny is creepy. This version of Bonnie hails from FNAF AR Special Delivery and is basically like White Bonnie, but with glowing blue eyes, a glowing red mouth, yellow bow tie, and an egg pattern on his stomach. I can't really explain why I find this so unsettling. Perhaps because I constantly get chocolate bunnies around Easter and I don't want to think about eating an animatronic that's trying to kill me. But there's also a chocolate Bonnie, from what I can tell, but that one is meant to be eaten, so it doesn't scare me as much. I prefer like the Mr. Munchie ones that are like filled with kind of like Rice Krispies kind of things. I prefer those over the hollow ones. The hollow ones just make me feel empty inside, pun intended. Halfway through in at number 5, Monster Toy Freddy. Monster Toy Freddy, I guess, seems to be a fan character from a fan game, since it's a retextured version of the Monster Rat from Five Nights at Candy's, ironically another fan game set to have a new sequel in the Fazbear Fanverse initiative. However, Monster Toy Freddy doesn't actually exist in those games as far as I know. And while this is meant to be Toy Freddy, the character and versions I found online were basically just reskins of the Monster Rat, and not adding additional features or anything aside aside from a microphone, top hat, and bow tie to make them Freddy. But I'm actually scared of the monster rat, so it works for me. Plus, there's a monster golden Freddy version that also pops up when you search for Monster Toy Freddy. So yeah, it's definitely a sight to see. In at 4, Nightmare Bonnie. Nightmare Bonnie is absolutely freaking terrifying, okay? Like, have you seen those goddamn teeth? I don't know how that little kid was able to imagine this kind of thing when he was in a coma. I still don't think that it was sound discs that were making him see it. Either way, he was in a coma, but like, holy ever-loving crap, this series has some messed up. I've never really been scared of Bonnie, alright? That's not something that I've had to deal with. But some of these are just unsettling, but nothing has really been like, oh crap, I'm not gonna sleep. But Nightmare Bonnie puts me on edge of that. I'm going to have a decent amount of nightmares. So I guess the name checks out. I would have included Twisted Bonnie on this list, but there isn't any real official art of the character, and I don't want to screw over the editor, who may even be me. Actually, it's not going to be me. And I don't want to end up screwing over the editor and having to cause them to use a load of fan art, because we're trying to cut back on that on this channel, because, you know, we never use fan art at all. But like, that's aside the point. Nightmare Bonnie has also been torn to pieces, like any man after they see Ryan Reynolds, okay? Like, how are we supposed to measure up to that? Nightmare Bonnie is one of the real living embodiments of fear, and you know what, these next few aren't gonna make it any easier on my sanity. Getting close to the end, and in number 3, FNAF Plus Chica. FNAF Plus is a fan recreation of the first FNAF game, funded by Scott with the Fazbear Fanverse Initiative, and will presumably be this timeline's version of the Fazbear franchise, since games like Five Nights at Candy's revolve around FNAF's history, and the joy of creation revolves around the game's history. FNAF Plus is meant to be a more intense and scary version of the first game, since a lot of fans complained about how the first one isn't scary anymore. But this version of Chica is messed up and all kinds of wrong. First of all, this version looks more like a little girl, which is going to cause a lot more messed up fan art, but also makes more sense given that she's possessed by the spirit of Susie, who died while still as a kid. But the head proportions, and the fact that like it comes out like it has baby cheeks, messes me up. Along with the fact that the puppet has a tuxedo and uses the candle as a top hat. What the hell? Like, I find that even creepier if I'm being honest. Like, I'm voice cracking, that's how bad this is. If you haven't watched these tapes, I suggest you do, because like, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It also like looks like it would sound southern, you know? Penultimately, in at number 2, System Error Bonnie. System Error Bonnie, or System Error Toy Bonnie, depending on what you want to call it, is one of the goddamn creepiest animatronics in these freaking games. This animatronic is completely red and appears to be glitching, similarly to how Glitch Trap glitches in FNAF VR before you end up defeating him. This thing is probably the creepiest form of Toy Bonnie ever, and it doesn't actually help that it looks menacing. The System Error version of Bonnie is more aggressive. It's angrier, or at least it seems that way, and I can't really explain how this is creepy, you just need to know. I saw it and I immediately knew that it had to be higher on the list, okay? I don't even know about it. I didn't even know about it until I was making a version of this list a long time ago, okay? Maybe I should play FNAF AR, although I don't really want to. I don't have room for it. Finally, in at number 1, Toxic Springtrap. Okay, I didn't include normal Springtrap on this list because officially, thanks to the man in room 1280 from Bunny Call, it is confirmed that William Afton was alive in the suit, thanks to the kid who possessed the body, who kept him alive and kept him from dying because he wanted William to suffer, aka the one you should not have killed, aka crying child. Everyone kept saying that, like, how would William be alive after 30 years? And you know what? I was right. So stop it. Stop telling me that I was wrong, because I know that I'm right. Damn it. Anyway, Toxic Springtrap from FNAF AR Special Delivery is just... I don't know, okay? He's a variation of the character instead of being the real Springtrap, but he's still being shipped out to families. How? Why are you shipping out versions of your dead serial killer? It does not make sense. I don't know the lore behind it and I could be wrong, but it appears as if Toxic Springtrap is a separate entity to Springtrap, but it does act more aggressively, whereas things like Flaming Springtrap act the exact same as normal one, which would have to be, maybe they would be canon in that sense, thanks to FNAF 6, and then Burn Trap, like maybe this is like the in-between stage, I don't know. Okay, Toxic Springtrap has wart-like bubbles all over his skin that appear to be some form of poison that bubbles up to the surface, something like that. It's really gross, it's really nasty, it puts me on edge, but at least it's not as toxic as my ex. And it's 10, Funtime Chica. Now before you go off on me for talking about Funtime Chica, before FNAF 6 there was no Funtime Chica, so any form of this character was actually fan-made. Like this fan-made teaser from Hero Golem on DeviantArt. The lack of beak already makes this version unsettling, but add in the Funtime's ability to move their faces at will, and you have some genuine nightmare fuel, and probably the least scary animatronic. And by that I mean scary in like a typical sense. Not to mention the different nightmare Funtime Chicas that I saw looking up Funtime Chica fan-made. It was a lot, and this is really something that I need to be careful of, because when I searched Funtime Chica fan art instead, I got an entirely different art genre than I was looking for. Like, come on Google, save that for my phone late at night when nobody's watching. And at 9, Nightmare Toy Chica. Nightmare Toy Chica is honestly what you'd expect from a nightmare version of your favorite chicken robot. All the glory of Toy Chica with the horror of a nightmare. The countless sharp teeth, stomach, mouth, torn body, even though they're toy and plastic, so it doesn't really make sense. Exposed endoskeleton, the works. And those without a beak are even worse than you'd expect. You'd expect that without the beak there would be less teeth, but no. In fact, they have the same amount. And they're ready to bite your head off. If anyone was going to have caused the bite of 87, it would be Nightmare Toy Chica. And not just because of Toy Chica's Ultimate Custom Night Deathline. Although, that is a whole other can of worms for another day. And at 8, Twisted Toy Chica. Twisted Toy Chica is basically, if I had to describe it, which I do given that I chose this list and then put this on the list, would be Nightmare Toy Chica cranked up to an 11 and then squared. These things are horrific and they're all different in some way. One has boils all over with the classic nightmare aesthetic. One is covered in what looks like egg sacs. One has additional Toy Chicas and cupcakes coming out of their arms and back. And one is a combination of Toy Chica, Toy Bonnie, and Toy Freddy, and is one of the most unholy abominations that I've seen. This looks like it belongs in a Dormitibus game or alongside the creation and joy of creation. While the variety is incredible and the fact that each one is different is rare to say the least, they all end up being scary, but others are even scarier. And at 7, Nightmare Dreadbear. Dreadbear is a recent addition to the FNAF roster, being introduced in the Curse of Dreadbear DLC for FNAF Help Wanted. It's a really good design, combining Frankenstein's monster and Freddy Fazbear, but the character overall wasn't really that scary, until someone made a nightmare version and a load of other people hopped on the bandwagon like it was on its way to Helgen. And whether it be a combination of Dreadbear and Nightmare Freddy, or hell, even a recolored Nightmare Fredbear, these versions of Dreadbear are vastly more terrifying than normal Dreadbear. I think Dreadbear is my personal favorite version of Freddy. I love that DLC, honestly. It's so good. And at 6, NSFW Chica. Yes. Now it's nighttime on my phone when nobody's watching. And while we're just showing tame or normal Chica for this number, the amount of not safe for work chickens I've seen would even make Colonel Sanders shake with fear. It's scary to me how accurate Rule 34 is, if I'm being 100% honest. No matter what, if it is on the internet, there is some form of NSFW version for you to find. And that's pretty nasty, especially given that these are animatronic animals with the souls of dead kids possessing them. I think that I'm gonna side with PETA this one time and this one time only. If they made an adult video site that was Chica themed and filled it with animal cruelty videos instead, at that point I would understand, because it's basically the same thing as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not kidding, that's actually a thing they did. I mean, like, it wasn't Chica themed, but I'm sure you get the idea. The Chica not safe for work art is scary enough, okay? Look, if you're wondering why it's on this list, then you know why it's on the list. Halfway through into number 5, Nightmare Fredbear. One theory that I've seen plenty of times, and I'm pretty sure was mostly like a start of the FNAF 4 theory, was that Golden Freddy and Fredbear are the same animatronic, suggesting the reason Golden Freddy is limp in the original FNAF and FNAF 2 are because his endoskeleton was removed after Crying Child's bite in 1983, and that's why the suit has to teleport around and cause hallucinations, because it can't physically move. This would also probably mean that Crying Child was supposed to be in the Golden Freddy suit. However, we know that this isn't true based on the characters being separate in Ultimate Custom Night, and just the coloring and the size, since Golden Freddy is much smaller than Fredbear would be, since Fredbear would have to accommodate the human, whereas Golden Freddy wouldn't, since he would just be an animatronic and not a spring-lock suit. But if it is true, it allows for Nightmare Fredbear to be a version of Golden Freddy and thus be on this list, so for this video and this video only, I will consider this true. And at 4, Human Withered Chica. There are no words for how this makes me feel. Look, I know I joke about Chica all the time and wanting to be with her, etc. Like, I even did the entire top 10 tastiest FNAF animatronics list specifically so I could make a joke that Toy Chica was the tastiest animatronic. If you haven't seen that video though, I highly suggest you watch it. I love that video, it's so funny. Nevertheless, this is wrong. Chica as a human is already a scary concept. Add to that the withered version with veins coming out of the arms instead of wires and a blood-stained dress. Emil Ines, however you say your name, I applaud you for your skill, but condemn you to the depths of hell for creating this and causing me to be so confused about what I should be feeling because of it. Like, what else could I say about this thing without probably getting myself in trouble with either one side of the internet or the other? Like, there's no winning here. I don't know. Why? Getting close to the end, in at number 3, Blacklight Bonnie. And the reason I have it is because I need to inspect hotel rooms. No, not really. It was because of a Halloween party. Because black lights make things seem scarier. I don't know why, but they do. Now, having a whole animatronic surrounding this concept is just going to be terrifying, especially when their main color is pink. The Blacklight animatronics were at first just released in toys as promotion for Help Wanted, but they do actually technically make an appearance. The only reason we know they exist, however, is because of the toys. The Blacklights make their debut in the animatronic repair hard mode, which is basically just the same thing but with hardly any light, so we don't actually see that they're Blacklight, but apparently they are truly the Blacklights. But either way, bright, eccentrically colored animatronics will scare anyone who lives in the dark and is scared of adding color to their wardrobe, like my sister. Only she will understand that joke because she dresses like a bat on the regular. Or no, she doesn't dress like a bat, she dresses like she wants to be a bat. Either way, again, it's a long story, alright, and I don't really want to tell it, but it's still weird, especially if you're like what was the phobia of colors? If you're chromophobic? If you're chromophobic, black lights are even worse, so there you go. Penultimately in at number 2, Sinister Chica. One look at Sinister Chica and you'll understand why they're in the number 2 spot. Because they're going to make you number 2 your pants. Hailing from the unfinished fan game Sinister Turmoil universe, Sinister Chica was going to be one of the antagonists of that game. All the Sinister Turmoil animatronics are terrifying, and the fact that they are all terrifying makes them a staple on any of these lists at this point, once I discovered them in the last video. While we may have only gotten Sinister Turmoil sewers and a story demo instead of the full game, this is one of the reasons I'm happy that happened. Sorry developers, like I'm not hating on you in any way, but I know for a fact that this would have made me unable to sleep for weeks. After playing FNAF VR, I already have to dive into my blanket after turning off my bedroom light, and like, it's a good jump, okay? This would just make me collapse. The lights would go off and I'd fall to the floor. Like the slightest movement of a shadow and my sheets would go from red to brown. All because I don't want them to be red with my blood, okay? I have issues. Talking to my doctor. Not really. Finally, in at number 1, Havoc Chica. Do I even need to explain? Havoc Chica, aka Maria, is a Havoc animatronic that hails from the Dormitivus universe. She is the Havoc version of Chica, obviously, and is a failed attempt by the Havoc puppet to give her spirit a physical form. While having the same color scheme as Chica, the two look nothing alike, aside from a face and beak. The mask Havoc Chica wears has a good amount of damage done to it. Her right eye socket has grown in size, arcing upwards towards her feathers. The rest of her mask has small withering in a few places, mainly near her right eye socket and her forehead. She has no eyes at all, resulting in her being blind. Her jaw isn't directly connected to her head either, like Chica from FNAF 1. Instead, her jaw looks more like her withered counterpart. Her jaw has withering on the sides as well, and some towards the front. Her entire head is attached to a suitless limb segment, making her head stick out and away from her body. Like you're seeing it now. It's grotesque and nauseating to look at. And before you ask, no, it's not because I took my meds without having breakfast, although that isn't helping. The bus ride getting here was rough. And at 10, Phantom Glamrock Freddy. While Phantom Glamrock Freddy isn't the most terrifying animatronic, obviously, this is only number 10, but it is unsettling to see an animatronic that's supposed to be helping us in the next game at least get turned into a phantom, even before the game has come out. It's crazy. While not horrific, it's still putting me on edge and making me wish I didn't think of these lists. But this is definitely the least scary out of the group. The end gets absolutely bonkers. But Phantom Glamrock Freddy is also actually fairly visually appealing. This is still pretty creepy kind of way, but it's nice to look at creepy. And at 9, Nightmare Funtime Freddy. Here we go, already coming in with the heavy hitters. Nightmare animatronics are usually scary, with their teeth sharper than needles and a silhouette that would make you cower in fear. The Nightmare animatronics were supposed to be scary, especially since they had to compensate for Springtrap. But Nightmare Funtime Freddy is messed up. The character wasn't that scary originally, unless it was moving its face in an ungodly way. But add the purpose of the animatronic on top of that and you can get pretty shaken. But now add the Nightmare theme and you are really in for some sweet, sweet night terrors. I swear the FNAF animatronics take turns being my sleep paralysis demons. And now they just added another one to the roster. Actually, all of these are pretty nightmare inducing, so be prepared folks. It's Nightmare Funtime Freddy, Bachelor number 2. And at 8, Nightmare Withered Freddy. Let's be honest, Withered Freddy isn't really that withered. The Nightmare version was more withered than this one was, for God's sake. But combining the two is an entirely different story. Nightmare Freddy is my favorite of the Nightmare animatronics, but adding the more tattered and rugged exterior to the Withered Freddy animatronic was the right way to go. This is what I want Nightmare Freddy to look like. This is what Withered Freddy should have looked like. Withered Bonnie and Chica are scary, but Withered Freddy was always lacking, until now. This jump scare would be something to marvel at. Maybe if it was, I would have gotten in that Central Dark video. Still salty about that. I'm the FNAF king of the office, but they didn't invite me. That was a letdown. At least you can watch me react to them whenever I play FNAF VR, which I've done a few times on the channel, but I don't want to do it. It's not fun. Like in at number 7, Monster Chica. The Monster Chica animatronic, like Monster Freddy from the alternate fan versions of Freddy list, is a simple edit of the Monster Rat animatronic from the Five Nights at Candy series, which technically, if you consider the Fazbear Fanverse initiative, is still actually kinda canon, but it's still fan-made and therefore belongs on this list. The edit mostly consists of making the character yellow, adding a cupcake, and then changing the snout to a beak, but this is still terrifying to say the least. And not to mention the bolts coming out of its body looking like spikes. It's horrifying. If the FNAF animatronics are my sleep paralysis demons, this one is taking the shift tonight. Like, it's freaking horrific. And there are some that look like Havoc Monster Chica, like Havoc Chica from Dermitibus combined with a monster version. And don't worry, you'll see Havoc very soon. But like, how is this a thing? Why is this my life? I give myself nightmares for a living. Thank God for Canada's free healthcare, otherwise my multiple heart attacks from seeing these things would cost me literally my heart otherwise. Like, I would have to sell my organs. And I'm not Shrimply Pibbles, I can't just have a dong be my heart. That was for you Rick and Morty fans out there. Season 5! And at 6, FNAF Plus Freddy. FNAF Plus is a fan recreation of the first FNAF game and is a part of the Fazbear Fanverse initiative, where Scott has funded a load of fan games that will all take place on another Earth in the FNAF canon, but their version of Freddy's won't be the one we know, but this new and darker version. The FNAF Plus model for Freddy, though, really sets the tone for the whole game. With a wider face and overall just wider features, FNAF Plus is certainly going to haunt my dreams at night. If you haven't watched the various tapes and trailers for this version of FNAF, I highly suggest you do so because they're pretty damn creepy. Plus, Chica and Bonnie look just as terrifying. This is going to be so dark and I love it. FNAF Plus Freddy's feet are also absolute chonkers and will make anyone who has a wiki feet in their search history unsettled, that's for sure. Halfway through in at number 5, Jack O'Bonnie. Jack O'Bonnie is one damn wascally wabbit. The animatronic is like your typical Bonnie, however is missing flesh in all the right places, and that's not like actually meant to sound like that. Okay, I don't know if I should even be calling it flesh. Like, it's not flesh, but it's their version of flesh, you know? Like, to him it's flesh, but like, does that make it okay to call it flesh? Whatever, I'm gonna call it flesh. He glows orange from the inside and he glows hard, like harder than the chorus of All Star. This animatronic is scary and one of the most intimidating animatronics in the entire series. The only reason it's not higher on the list is because he's not very present within the games. Okay, it makes an appearance in FNAF 4's Halloween update, and then in FNAF VR's helpy sections of the Pirate Cove ride and Curse of Dreadbear, but other than that, we don't really see him. And when they are in the game, they're not really that intimidating, but that's because I'm really in control of the outcome, and if I get jump scared, it's my fault and not the fault of some weird game mechanic, like the doors not working how they should. Yeah, that's right. I'm still mad about that. I will always be mad about that. And at 4, Golden Call. Golden Call hails from the extremely terrifying Dormitibus universe, where everything we thought we knew about FNAF gets thrown out the window and is replaced with gross gore and body horror that will make even the most seasoned of FNAF veterans shake with fear. Golden Call is a version of Freddy that is making a phone call, but the gore behind this character makes it one of the most gruesome sights in the game, aside from Garvey, the Springtrap substitute. Golden Call has flesh peeling off of them and they're covered in holes and extra bits of gore, as if someone had died inside the suit and were left there to rot for 50 years. It's horrible, it's disgusting, and I had to look at this and write this number after I had lunch, so it's not sitting well anymore. Getting close to the end, and at number 3, Golden Call. Golden Call is more or less like Springtrap design-wise. He's a spring-locked suit with a corpse inside of him, and has become a dull green due to his color rotting away, because you know, there's a corpse inside of him. Half of Golden Call's left ear is bent, causing it to stick out at an angle. His other ear is still intact, luckily, I guess. I don't really know if that's a good thing, other than small withering on like the sides of it. His black top hat also has some withering on it, mainly towards the base and sides. He has one small hole right above his eye sockets from withering, and his holes appear to be connected to his eye sockets, meaning that his eyes are slightly bigger than normal. On the left side of his head there is a large hole from withering. He has a bit more withering on the sides of his head too. So on the right side of his head he has a red substance that is sticking, and also sticking to like the phone that he's holding, hence why he's named Golden Call, because he's calling someone. But this substance is most likely blood or flesh or something similar. Golden Call also has a set of endoskeleton eyes in his head that have red pupils, but the eyes of his corpse are also hanging out of the eye sockets and appear to be blue. He has a bit of withering on his snout, his lower jaw, and the edges of his lower jaw, and then he has like organs inside of him, but like I don't know what organs these are. His entire torso is also heavily worn, and his pelvis has a single hole in the front that reveals to be like some form of blood vessel or muscle, and I don't even want to know what was there originally. And at 2, Ignited Freddy. Ignited Freddy is one of the main antagonists in the Joy of Creation fan game, which will have a new Ignited collection release as part of the Fazbear Fanverse initiative. In this game you play as Scott Cawthon, whose creations have escaped from the game and are coming after you. Ignited Freddy appears to be a burnt and charred Freddy Fazbear animatronic. He has no bottom jaw, exposing his endoskeleton's bottom set of rusty teeth, and his left ear is also missing. Ignited Freddy wears a top hat like his original counterparts did, and both of his hands are also missing, along with the suit on his shins and his left forearm. He has no real eyes, only black holes with white pupils, which is a staple for creepy animatronics at this point, and yeah. These last 3 are really something, that's for damn sure. Especially in at number 1, Sinister Freddy. Sinister Freddy, while being the thumbnail of this video, was also intended on releasing with the cancelled Sinister Turmoil fan game. Instead of the full game, however, we got Sinister Turmoil Sewers, which was a small section of what would have been the full game, featuring Sinister Mangle as the main antagonist. Sinister Freddy, though, is a brown animatronic bear with a lighter shade of brown on his stomach, snout, and inside of his ears. You knew that. He appears to have damage in his suit, small but sharp teeth, and no eyes. His whole suit appears to be severely withered, having large rips and tears on several pieces of his body. Sinister Freddy also sports large needle-like weapons on his wrists. It's like the hidden blade from Assassin's Creed. He also appears to have small geometrically shaped nails or claws, and a mouth with sharp but small teeth under his body that can be seen if one takes a look closely. But don't get too close. I don't like it, okay? It's absolutely terrifying and deserved to be number 1, even taking over the Dormitibus animatronics. But those are also just like an easy number 1. Like, and I like to torture myself. You all know this. That's why we've been making FNAF content for so long.